talk about world politics over here, but today I have something completely different. I hope this video is going to be helpful. I don't mean to offend anybody, and I didn't know if people are gonna like it or not, so I divided this video in part 1 and part 2. So if you like part 1, let me know because I am ready to make the part 2 and I am very excited to get started. So let's get started. And the first old man is, let's call him Ron. I never believed Ron was any younger than 40. I was looking at his social media one day and I could not believe how many women in need of dental work and a facelift he was friends with. I was having an argument with Ron when I frowned at him and I squeezed my eyes. But God, why did I do that? With his right hand, Ron slapped himself once and said, "Shame on me." The noise of that slap scared me, and Ron didn't stop. With his left hand, he smacked himself on the left side and kept going over and over again. And each time, he would repeat the same phrase, "Shame on me." I kept staring at him in disbelief, and as my expression had grown in disapproval, Ron started to bang his head against the floor. If I had not laughed, God knows where Ron would be that day. Just the next day, Ron rosy cheeks asking me to lend him a few $1,000s, and he never paid me back, and I never saw him again. Enough. Next. Let's call him Sammy. Sammy was 60 years young. Sammy would take me to luxurious spas, take me shopping, buy me unexpected gifts, wine and dine me as often as I wanted to. Sammy used to play Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande, my favorite singers, and dance along all by himself. Anywhere I used to go, he always walked behind me, holding my bags. And when I would look back, I would see his whole face immersed in pure joy. As heavy my bags were becoming, as more Sammy enjoyed carrying it. Every time I went to a store in the mall, I was offered a cup of tea, a glass of champagne, and Sammy was ignored by the vendors. At the restaurant, the waitress would take his order with a face of expression of pure disguise. One day, while having lunch, a woman wrote the check for him with a note that said, "Kids meal." When no one was around, people would come to me and ask me if I needed help. The truth is that I actually needed. Soon I realized that there was no real benefit in staying with Sammy. Think about it. What do I do with expensive dinner? Well, expensive dinner goes down the toilet sooner or later. The relaxation from the luxurious spas only lasts for a couple of days, and soon more stress comes, and so the need to come back. The clothing from the shopping halls soon gets old, raggedy, and outdated. The shoes gets worn out, and the jewels breaks easily and lose its shine. I needed to marry Sam because then I would not be worried about my future. I told Sammy I would not have sex with him until he married me, and I would leave in a month if he did not propose. But he didn't seem to care. I went to the mall, I bought sexy lingerie, and I walked around his house wearing just bras and panties. Making my high heels clap like I was a birthday party, I told Sammy I would only let my husband take my clothes off and no one else. But Sammy didn't respond. So I gathered some boxes and I asked him to handle me the tape and the scissors so I could lock them. But Sam grabbed the scissors and started to swing it close to me, giving me a crazy stare. Later, I decided to pay for a 1 hour consultation with a relationship coach. Well, she said I could not be living in the same roof with a man without giving him sex and expecting that he would not try to kill me. She said if I wanted him to marry me, I had to give him sex like it was Thanksgiving and treat him like a piece of meat. So I put makeup, heels, and lingerie back on again, and one more time, I walked to his office with my high heels, clapping like a birthday party. But before I had the chance to say anything, he told me he was done with me. Gary. Gary took care of me and I spent time with him. Once I bought fake implants from Amazon, $25 for one pair. I put it inside my bra and I called Gary and said, "Hold my boobs." So I took the fake implants out and I put on Gary's hands. Gary held those fake implants without saying anything. And I said, "Gary, you should never give up hope." But one day, Gary was complaining about his finances and he said he no longer could support me. Gary was sitting on the chair in my apartment when I grabbed him by his arms and dragged him out, pushed him outside, and slammed the door behind him. But later, Gary called me, insisting that I should move into his house. After resisting, I finally gave in and I accepted the offer. But something changed. Gary became obsessed with being humiliated. He wanted to revive once again that scene when I kicked him out by force and he no longer wanted to be called Gary. He wanted to be called Trashman. Every time Gary was taking out the trash or putting up furniture for me, he would repeat the phrase to himself, "I should never give up hope." He begged me often to kick him out of his own house. He would tell me that if I ever felt angry enough to punch a wall or kick anything, I could hit him instead. When I wanted to be nice, I would tell him that I was going to grab some laces in the garage, tied him up, and smack him with my high heels until he bleeds. He would laugh and clap his hands, saying, "Please do it." But why I would have the trouble to walk into the garage, find those ties, and risk ruining my expensive shoes just to beat Gary? I thought about doing it for Christmas, but I was way too busy. I was busy thinking about my future. What my future would look like in years to come. Although I had a slave under my spell, soon as I get older, I would have nothing to show for, but some worn out shoes after using it to smack Gary. So I left.